I haven't had a chance to talk to you first about the Teoscar signing, which I was screaming off the rooftops. Let's get Teoscar back in Dodger blue. We know that he wanted to be there. I know that you wanted him back. What does it mean to have him there at least another 3 years?
It was a big part of the offseason trying to line up with Teo and his representation. Um, you and I talked a lot offline about having players that really want to be there and that are committed in every way to be a Dodger. And Teo is at the top of that list. So to get him back was huge. And, it's always, and I've kind of alluded to this kind of term, shuffling the deck. Um, but I think that this is the first year, I think, and rightfully so, that that deck is going to be a lot of the same as it was in the year prior. So Teo is a linchpin to what we're doing. I feel he's a carrier. He's a middle of the bat guy who's neutral. The fans, everywhere I went, guys, this offseason, it was like, please bring Teo back. And you realize how endeared he was to Dodger Nation. And obviously that parade when we get into the stadium and the fans cheering and chanting his name was pretty emotional for him and his family. So to get him back, like I said, there's been a lot of things that have kind of happened, but getting him back was a top priority.
Mm-hmm. Listen, that parade was something special for everybody. It took a lot to get there. I will approach this carefully. I'll ask you this, Dave. How stupid is baseball where you could make the same move 3 times and there will be 3 different outcomes? Where maybe, let's just throw a name out there. You plug in Alex Vesia to face somebody in a key game against the Padres, and then there's another one where just the baseball, it finds some grass and other times it finds a glove. How frustrating is it? And like just the joy of vindicating yourself, vindicating the team, vindicating 2020, all that, getting to this point where you're at now, where you're like, F yeah, I am a 2-time World Series champion manager, and it feels pretty dang good.
Yeah, it's funny. Vesia closed. You used that example, Clint. Alex closed the game out in the CS against the Mets where he got the fly out right there. And it's one of those things that, yeah, he doesn't get the fly out. It's a terrible decision. I think for me, I've kind of really come at peace with the fact that it is a game of results. I do feel that fans chiming in, being passionate, voicing their likes, their dislikes, their vitriol at times, voices. It's still good for the game because people care. But I do believe, though, that you are right. Yes, at times, people could say I use my gut more than I did before. But you look back at my 9 years, if one thing went a different way, it would have been a genius decision. And some of them went well, some of them didn't. And that's baseball. But like you said, I can say, yeah, I am a 2-time managing world champion. You're right.
Love it.
Yes, you can. And been to the World Series 4 different times. Dave, in theory, a 6-man rotation is one thing. In practice, a 6-man rotation is something entirely different. The Dodgers have Blake Snell. The Dodgers are going to have Ohtani. The Dodgers have Glasnow. The Dodgers have Yamamoto. Perhaps we get Roki Sasaki if you want to break any sort of news here. But do you think that is a legitimate thing that the Dodgers will be doing this year as a 6-man rotation? And moreover, do you see May and Gonsolin being in a starting spot, or you see them more in a bullpen spot until they get really, really built up again?
I think it's interesting. I think if you just look at the 6-man rotation, it makes a ton of sense. Certainly with our depth and our pitching staff and depth with that. But then you have to bake in off days, and sometimes in a span of 10 games, 10 days, there might be 2 off days. So that then is 1 extra day to then now 2 or 3 extra days for a particular pitcher. I do think that with who we have, and you mentioned Shohei, who's going to need to go on an extra, Yoshinobu. I do feel that Tyler, with what he's gone through, it would be beneficial. Mm-hmm. Blake Snell's a guy that wants to pitch every fifth day, which he's done and had success, but some days built in wouldn't be a bad thing. I think, to be honest with you, Alana, I think the crux, what's going to be really telling, is how Gonsolin, Dustin May, come back, guys like that, to kind of make our decision harder. Because now, if they're knocking at the door and performing, those guys are going to deserve innings. So if we can get those guys in the fold and give other guys an extra rest, I think that would be a benefit. But I think time will tell.
You do add Blake Snell to the mix, and I don't think, if I remember correctly, you weren't at that presser. Just adding somebody the ilk, a two-time Cy Young Award winner, to the fold there for the Dodgers, a team that just won a World Series, again, two-time World Series champion manager here. What does that bring to the mix for you, for the starting rotation, some of the younger guys coming into the picture, adding somebody like Blake Snell?
I think it adds a guy that's, won the ultimate pitching award, the Cy Young. He's pitched in the biggest ball games and has performed. From everything I've heard, the work ethic is top notch. So I think that guys can, certainly follow what Clayton, the culture he's created with our pitching staff. And then obviously with Blake, what he's going to bring, the edginess to the staff, the makeup. I think, Clint, the thing that I really love is not only the talent, but it's a guy that hasn't won a championship. So it's hard to quantify hunger, and this guy wants it really bad. That's why he chose to sign with the Dodgers. And bringing in a guy like Blake and Michael Conforto, I just really like guys that haven't ultimately hoisted that championship trophy, because they're going to really continue to push the guys that already have done it even more.
I think it's great too that you guys were able to sign Kim into the infield, but with that addition, there's a subtraction of Gavin Lux. So, best of luck to Gavin, of course, with Cincinnati. But how do you see this infield playing out, Dave? Because we knew that obviously if Tommy Edman was back and Miguel Rojas is back, you have CT, maybe Kike. I don't know if he's going to re-sign back. You have Muncy, you have Freddie Freeman, you have Mookie back in that infield too. If you had to pencil in a lineup, everybody that you have right now that's healthy, how do you see that playing out?
It's a great question. I'm very actually grateful that I don't have to answer that question right now, but I will try. Because as we've seen, things do happen over the course of a season. But Mookie right now, Alana, is at shortstop. I think with Tommy, we can look at probably as it looks right now with Conforto in left, Teo in right. Obviously, we got the corners in the infield taken care of. You would see Tommy in center field, and then with Kim mixed in there at second base. And honestly, we saw him in the series earlier when we went to South Korea last year. Haven't seen a whole lot. Looking forward to get to know him more. But in center field, James Outman and Pages are still really alive. And Tommy obviously has the ability to play second base too. So there's still some moving parts that we have time to kind of figure out. But I do feel that Mookie in the infield is something that I feel really good about.
Yeah, you got yourself a heck of a ball club lining up there. Also, heck of some ball clubs in the National League West, NL Best, as I like to call it. Giants made some moves, adding Willie Adames. You got the Diamondbacks adding Corbin Burns to that already pretty dang good starting rotation. Dodgers adding, of course, Blake Snell, amongst other pieces. I know it's hard to sit here in January and worry about the competition around the team, but how good is this NL West? And Dino Ebel was on with us shortly after the World Series and talked about how important having these teams challenge the Dodgers late into the season, how important that was for you guys in October. So how good is it for you to see the NL West continue to get better, and just general thoughts about the competition coming for this upcoming season?
You nailed it, Clint. I do think it is the NL Best. I like that one. I got to use that one more. I think with obviously with Buster taking over the reins, you can start to see more of kind of they're trying to get back to who they were when they won those 3 championships. And Willie is a guy that a lot of people coveted. They're going to continue to get better and be a thorn in our side, I'm sure. But the Diamondbacks certainly getting Burns to go along with Gallen and Merrill Kelly makes them very, very formidable. And PFAT over there, and with their position player group, very athletic. They're only going to get better. And obviously with us and the Padres and with what we did with those guys in the DS last year and how talented they are, I do think that it is the best division in baseball, top to bottom. I'm just happy we don't have to play each team 18 times and sort of beat each other up like we did in the past. But I do think, to Dino's point about playing to the end of the season, through the end of the season, prepared us for playoff baseball right after the regular season. So I don't know if that's the kind of the script to play till game 162, but it was certainly a benefit this year. Yeah.